Some people have been rejected by church. There are people in this building even tonight who have been kicked out of churches because they smoke, been kicked out of church because they've been married and remarried. I'm here to tell you today that God will never reject you. He loves you. He said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. Your God is never going to reject your life. He loves you. But churches reject people all the time. But I'm here to tell you, God never rejects you. Rejection is so powerful because it runs a rampant race that tears you down and strips you to the place to where you are a person who has to do certain things to survive. Number one, you have to build a wall. You have to make sure you're not going to get hurt again. You have to make sure no one has the ability to wound your heart the way they did, that nobody will ever be able to get you and reject you again. So you're going to build a wall of protection to where somebody can touch you but never get close to you. People put their mask on. They smile. They laugh. Everything is fine. Everything is beautiful. Everything's going to be okay. But inside, the wounds that they've experienced, they're bleeding so profusely that they're not even sure if they're going to survive the next day. They're not sure if they're going to make it the next morning when the dawn rises. They're not sure what's going to happen in their life. Their mask says one thing. But inside, they're the walking wounded. Usually what happens is after somebody has built their wall and they place their mask on their face, is they start to medicate. Numb the pain. They drink. They do drugs. They try to fill that hole with anything that's available because it hurts. And they can't just go get a prescription from a doctor, or they can't just go get on an operating table and have them fix it because it's not out here. It's in here. But we got somebody, his name is Dr. Jesus. And he wants to heal your heart. The people that don't build the wall, the people that don't medicate, the people that don't fake it, usually get mean. Hurting people hurt people. So they start getting nasty. They get critical of everybody and everything around them. Well, why is that? Because they want to repel everybody so that they can't get hurt. So they're always going to look for the problems in everybody else's life so that they don't have to deal with the wound that's in their own life. They become oversensitive. You can't say boo and they're mad at you. You've walked on eggshells before. You know what I'm talking about. You've walked on eggshells around somebody. You're always wondering if you're going to offend them. You're always wondering if you're going to hurt their feelings. Well, why is it? Because they're hurting people. And man, what happens when you touch an open wound, it hurts. So it's sensitive to the touch. It's sensitive to situations surrounding them. So anything that would even echo or even be possible that would touch the heart that's already wounded, they're going to strike out in protection. They become angry and they become bitter people. They become perfectionists. Well, why is that? Because no one can live up to their standards, so therefore, no one can get close enough. They drive people away from them. This is the one that is the saddest. They're so desperate. People that are gaping and wounded, people that have held and had the sting of rejection, they're so desperately longing to be loved. They're so desperately longing to be accepted. They're so desperately longing for someone to reach out. But yet every time somebody starts getting close, they've got to repel them. They've got to push them away. What if they do it too? I can't chance it. I can't handle it. I can't get near. Every time they start pushing somebody away because they're afraid that what they want the most will hurt them. See, rejection is a horrible, horrible emotion that God never intended for you to experience. But yet we experience because humanity allowed sin to come into our lives. Emotion is not an emotion that God even wanted to experience, but yet he did. You remember the saddest verse of the Bible? My opinion. Do you remember after Adam and Eve sinned, God the Father walked into the garden? Adam and Eve were hiding. And this is what God said. Adam, where are you? Come on now, we know God knew right where he was. But what he was experiencing was the rejection and the sadness of loss. See, God knows what you're feeling. God understands the wound. He understands the hurt. And this is why he sent Jesus to heal your heart. Isn't that awesome? The heart is an amazing thing. Anybody ever heard of scar tissue before? What happens is when scar tissue starts to build, it's because a wound has not healed properly. Can I read you the definition of what scar tissue is? I'm going to do it anyways. Here it is. Here's the definition. Scar tissue known as fibrosis usually decreases the natural movement of the injured and gives a tethered effect. So the scar tissue in the heart, because of the wound of rejection, starts to encase and entomb and enthrall the individual, so the wall gets built. And all of a sudden now, you saw Brother Bruce walk up and down the stairs. He didn't do it without help. Because what it does is it starts to constrain you to the place where movement is hindered. And your ability to love starts to cease. Folks, I'm here to tell you, rejection is a horrible experience. And every one of us in this room has experienced it. And every one of us in this room will experience it again. But I'm here to tell you that Jesus did not come to leave you in a situation and a wound that cannot be restored. And not just restored, Jesus wants to give you a very thick skin, but keep your heart really supple. Jesus wants to teach you how to deal with that emotion when it comes to your doorstep. I'm telling you, you're going to experience it. You know, you would think after a lot of rejection, you get used to it. I'm here to tell you, you'll never get used to it. You're never going to get used to that emotion. But you can control that emotion. Because you, by the authority of Jesus' name, have the ability to control every emotion that's in your life. My wife and I, because of ministry, have had families that we have literally been there at life and death. And I'm not talking 1 or 2 weeks. I've been in ministry 22 years. We've been married 19. She came right out of there, right into ministry, right off the bat. We have had people that we have loved and shared, ate at their house, loved on them. They've loved us.